first things first, I want people at home to understand that the legislative process in Hartford is much more formal even than what it is here, and drawn out and complicated than what it is here in New Milford. So first things first, you guys are in session now. So like, can you give like a TV guide version of what the difference is between in session and not in session? What can be done in session? What can't be done? What can be done out of session? What can and can't be done? And like what the schedule would be in terms of those sessions.
Yeah, so it's a very good question. It is, in some aspects, it is similar to the way municipal government may operate or the town council may operate in New Milford. And in many ways, as you said, it's vastly different. One of the ways that it is, I think, quite different is the committee process. You really don't see that in municipal government where as legislators, as both senators and state representatives, we're assigned to a handful of committees. Usually as a state rep, you're assigned to about 3 different committees in the building. And as a state senator, you're usually assigned to 4 to 5 committees in the building. So I'm on four committees this particular session. I'm on education, I'm on environment, I'm the ranking member on environment, I'm on judiciary, and I am on finance. And so the beginning part of session, which I usually clarify as January 4th, which is the day that we were sworn in, till I would say about late March into mid-April, is really committee work. I mean, we're in the General Assembly across the street at the Capitol, voting on some judges, gubernatorial nominations like commissioner of DCF, etc. Some emergency type of pieces of legislation. I would say once every week, if not once every 2 weeks. So you're not over at the Capitol a lot. The Capitol building itself, in the Assembly, in the Senate chamber or in the House chamber as a collective legislature, voting on things very often from the beginning of January till about mid-April. During that time, however, we're across the street often at the Legislative Office Building, which is the acronym is the LOB, which is across the street from the Capitol. And we're doing committee work, which means that the bills that have been proposed by individual legislators, and I have a number of them, Representative Buckby in New Milford has a number of them as well, they get proposed to all the different, the germane committees to that particular bill. So for example, if I propose a bill, which we have with Representative Buckby regarding Route 7, that bill is going to obviously get sent to the Transportation Committee because it's
okay. So does it ever reach the floor before committee, or does it get just immediately referred to committee?
I think there's a procedural process where it goes to the floor where we're not there. There's just 1 or 2 people in the chamber that procedurally will take the bill and then send it to the pertinent committee. It's a formal type of thing. It's not
so you guys, so let's start with an idea to do something at Route 7, right? And then you guys Correct. Have somebody put down onto paper the idea onto Route 7. That paper goes to like a clerk somewhere, and then the Correct. Clerk brings it to the floor for like a day's worth of, all right, these 40 things go to this committee, these 40 things go to... Is there anything that's ever DOA before it even gets to that point, or do they all go to committee?
No, they all generally go to a committee. I've never heard of a bill that doesn't get sent to a committee. Many bills, and I would say probably, most bills usually die in committee.
Okay.
Which means that the bill goes to the chamber, gets referred to a pertinent committee, and then the committee just decides never to do anything with the bill.
So there's also a formal process in committee to even bring it before the committee.
That is correct. So that's called screening. And the leaders of every committee meet. Usually, by law, the chairs of the committee, which are all Democrats because the Democrats control both the House and the Senate.
Yep.
The chairs of those, right. The chairs of the committees can have their own screening meetings. And however, as a custom in Hartford, at least since I've been there, and I understand it to be a long custom in Hartford, long prior to me being there, the ranking members, which means the highest ranking Republican senator and the highest ranking Republican House member, are also invited into the screening with the chairs. And there's an informal discussion on we basically get a packet of every bill that has been sent to your committee. For me, as a ranking member, it's environment. For Representative Buckby here in New Milford, he's a ranking member in the House on the Energy Committee, Energy and Technology. So, there you have a meeting with the chairs, and you go over every single bill that's sent to you, and then you say, okay, this one, let's have a public hearing on it. No, not this one. Let it just die. We're not going to do anything with this. We're going to do something with that, as you'd expect. When you have 151 state reps and 36 state senators, you have a lot of redundant proposals. So a lot of the process is just simply saying, okay, well, this bill and that bill, it's the same exact
5128 is the same thing as 4333.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So let's just pick one of them to advance forward with, whichever one doesn't matter. And we'll advance forward with that proposal. So it's a lot of redundancies, not only in terms of the bills that are proposed the same exact session by different legislators, but it's a lot of redundancy in bills that you've seen before. I could tell you, as a ranking member in the House on environment, which I was when I was a state rep, the bills I'm seeing now as a state senator, as a ranking member in the environment, are oftentimes the same exact bills that I've seen now for 6 years.
And then you get some experience with that, and you say, listen, this thing got voted down on the floor like 140 to 5. Right. The last 3 times it got brought up. Nah, we're not even revisiting this.
Right. And usually that's not what ultimately, generally how the House and the Senate work is almost nothing gets brought out to the floor of the chamber unless they know it's going to pass.
Okay.
So usually it's not like, this bill, this person wants to vote on it, they throw it up and it doesn't pass. If a bill comes out, I think I've only seen one time where a bill has actually come out and actually failed on the House floor, or the Senate floor.
Interesting.
So it does. So the leadership in the House and the Senate do not bring a bill out unless they know they have the votes for the bill.